Hello friend, welcome back. In our previous video, we successfully created our model. So here I have created one of the model as a user info. And now I want to load this, all that our information, that means the user, from to the user, I want to take some of the field, and also from our user info and from to the user info, here I have defined our Facebook ID and the profile picture. So now I want to add all the things in our form area. So for doing this, we have to create one of the form, right? So now we don't need this, I just simply remove it, and also we don't need this, I remove it. So now in our application, that means in our logging application area, into the logging application area, I want to create one of the forms. So if you want to create it, I think you already know about it. So in our logging form area, I want to create one of the file as a forms. Okay, right? Forms.py. So I just click as a name. So that is actually our name. So with this form, I want to load all the our field, and here I want to create one of the register page. Into the register page, first of all, I want to load all the our field, right? So now I want to do that work. For doing this, in our form area, we have to define all the our class. So first of all, we have to add all the our default forms. So if you want to define our default library, that means the form library. So that is our Django. Into the Django, we have to input our default library as a forms library, right? So I just simply define as a forms library. And also we have to define our authenticated model. That means here I have already defining it. So that is actually the things we have to do. I just simply copy it. So that is our models. Also we have to add our this Django, the contribute our authenticated model. Into the authenticated model, here also we have to input our user. Because of all, also we have to get all the data from to the user, right? So for the reasons, here we have to add it. And also in our model, into the model, I have also created another class as info, that means the user info. So also we have to input this info, right? So into the form area, I just simply define as a form. So that is in our logging app. That is a logging and then app, and in the logging app I define as a models, and then I want to import our this class, that is actually the user info. So I just simply copy it, and now here I import our user info. Perfect, right friend? And now I want to create two class. One class from that is actually our user. So with this user, I want to take as I told you, with this user I want to take all that our user details. That means say into the user, I want to take that username, user email address, and the password. And also I have created another one. So that is our info. From here, I want to take only two field, as it will be as a Facebook ID field and the profile picture field. All right. So now I show you, everything will be very much clear to you. Don't worry. So I just simply define as a class, right? The class, and then I name it as a user form. I just simply define as a user form, and then our this form, that means this form class, here we have to inherit it with our another model, that is a model form. So I just simply define as a model form. And after this also we have to add our meta class. So I just simply define as a meta, that is our meta class, and into this meta class area we have to define that model. So I just simply define the model, and this model will be this user model, right? So with this user model, we will get all that our field, that means our username field, email field, and the password field, right? So now I just simply copy it. So here with this user, I want to define all that our field. Okay, all that our fields, and our field name, I want to display our field name will be first of all as a username. And also I want to take another field will be as an email, and also I want to take another field as a password, right? So I just simply define three of this field. So friend, I think you can well understand about it. Because of all, in our user model, into the user model, I have already all the default field, right? So they have also already default all that field. If you go home into the user, you can see they have already default all that field, right? And also if you want to take that first name, that last name, you can take it, rather than it's right now it's okay with me. So I only want to take from our user as a username, email, and the password. Perfect. And also I want to create another one. I want to create another class for our user info. So I just simply define as a class. and then I just name it as a user info. Okay, user info form. So I just name it as a user info form, one of the class name, and here it should be just like that, same with the forms, and then it will be inherited our another model form. And also here we have to define our meta class. So I just simply define as a meta class, and into this meta class area we have to define that model. So for this one I have already created this model, so this model name as a user info, and into this user info model here I have defined two of this field, right? One is the Facebook ID, another is a profile. So now I want to take two of this, so I just simply define as your user model, and into this user info here I want to define our fields name, right? I want to define our fields name, our field name from our user model. I want to get our two of this field name. One will be as a Facebook ID, another will be as a profile picture. So I just simply define as a Facebook ID first. So here our one field will be as a Facebook ID, and another field will be as a profile picture. I think, friend, step by step everything is very much clear to you right now, right? So here I have defined two of these fields. So one will be from our user tab model. So from the user model I get this field as a username field, email field, and the password field. And from our user info, that means from our user info class here, from here I want to get some of the field as a Facebook ID field and the profile picture field. So now I want to load our this form, and also I want to load our this form in our one page. Okay, for the reasons we have to create one of the HTML page. That means in our templates, in our logging, here I want to create one of the new file, and I just name it as a register.html, right? So now I just simply create it. So here also we have to add our this extended. So I just simply copy it from to the index, and here I just simply paste it. So I just simply remove it. Right now we don't need this. So that will be as extended our logging based HTML, and also that is our body, that is our main blog body, right? And also previously I have already discussed about that things with you. Here we have, if you want to load some of the form, then you have to define one of your static file data. That means here in particular that position. So in basic we have already completed. So now we are actually using it on here. So load and the static. So I just simply define as a load static data. Okay, that means all that our load static file will be loaded in particular that position. For the reasons here I have defined that our load static. So as I told you, friend, first of all you already know about that all basics. So now step by step we will go more deep. So now we are using it in our this project, and lately we will create 3 different projects. As I told you, we will create one of the blog project, we will create one of the social media project, and after that also we will create one of the e-commerce project, right? So don't worry, step by step after the end of this course everything will be very much clear to you. So now here I'm creating one of the HTML page as a register.html page. So now we have to load it, right? So if you want to load it, then we have to defining it in our view. So into the view area I have already created one of the function as the index. So now we have to create another function. So I just simply define another function as a register, right? I just simply define that name as a register, and with this request, into the request area we have to pass our dictionary. So I just name it as a dict again. So first of all I want to make the things as a empty, and then the return and the render, right? Return, render, and then here we have to pass that request, and here we have to load our page. So that is in our logging app. Okay, into the logging app I have created one of the page as a register. So I just simply define as register.html. And then also we have to pass that context. So into the context area we have to pass our this text, right? So I just simply pass it. And now also we have to get all the data from our forms, right? Into the forms I have created 2 of this. One is the one class name I have defined as a user form, and that is our user info form. So now we have to load, that means we have to input 2 of this in our view area, that means in our view, right? So into the view area I want to load it first as a form from our logging app. In logging app folder I have created this file as a forms. So I just simply define as a forms, right? And then I want to input. So from our forms area, I want to input two of this. One actually our this user form. So I have to load it. That means I have to input it, and also I want to input our another one. I want to input our another class as a user info form. So I just simply also load two of this on here. And now we have to load our all that field. That means in our this class, that means our user form. Into the user form here I have defined our 3 field, and also that is our user info form. Here I have defined our 2 of this field. So now we have to load 2 of this, right? So we have to load 2 of this in our register page. So for doing this, we have to define our object. So I just simply define as a user underscore form. So into the user form, I have to load our this class name. So our class name I have defined as a user form. So I just simply create this object, and also we have to define the same things as a user. I take as a user underscore info underscore form, right? And here also we have to create our this object. So that is our user info form. So I just simply defining it. Okay friend, I think it's very much clear to you. So now also we have to pass both of this. We have to pass our this user info, that means this user form, and also user info form in our dictionary, because here we have to pass all that form in our register, right? So I have already passed our this dict in our context area. That means we can actually use it in our register. So for the reasons now we have to pass it. So I just simply pass it on here. That will be as a user form, and I just pass our user form, right? And also I want to pass our user info form. So here I just simply pass our user info form. So now we have to display 2 of this in our register HTML. So now go to that register HTML here. I want to create one of the form, and here we don't need this class, and also we don't need this any action. So I just simply remove it. Okay. So that will be method will be as a post method. And also here one thing, into the form area I have also passed one of the field as a profile picture. That means the picture type, right? So when you pass anything into the profile, then you have to define one of the NC type. That means in our NC type, that means in our register into the form area, here we have to pass it. So I just simply pass as a NC type, and NC type will be as a multi-part form data. Okay, so make that sure you use it, rather than your image will be not working. So after that, also now I want to display our 2 of this data, which data we actually just pass that things from our view. So from our view I pass our user form. That means this is actually user form. So here I just simply paste it, and also we have to define our another one is the user info form. So I just simply pass our user info form. And also here we have to define our CSRF token, right? So without CSRF token we cannot actually submit this data. So I just simply define as a CSRF underscore token. So I just simply define it. Okay, and then I want to define another submit button. So I just simply define as input type will be as a submit, and the name I name it as a submit, and also the value I define as a register. Okay, I just name it as a register value type. Perfect. And after that, what exactly we have to do? We have to define some of the URL, right? Because here we have to access it. So you have to go to your application, that means our logging application, and here that is our URL. So now I want to create another URL for our registration. That means the register. So I name it as a register. Okay, I name it as a register, and the view I just name that our function name. I have create that function in our view, that is actually the register. I just simply copy it, and now in our URL here I name it as a register, and also name it as a register. Okay, that is actually in our view I have created this function, our function name as a register, and that is actually our name register. Perfect. So now I want to add this menu. I want to add this menu in our site. So that means here I want to create another menu as a register. So that is in our base URL. So now go to our profile, and that is our base URL. So that is actually the step-by-step process, friend. Okay, so I think if you actually practice it, then it will be very much clear to you. So I just name it our menu name as a register. Okay, I just name it as a register, and also here we have to pass our URL. So here I just simply pass our URL, and then in our logging app, so I have defined our app name as a logging app. Into the logging app, I name this path as a register. So I just simply copy it, and now here I name it as a register. Perfect. So now let's check this out. If you now click as a save all, I just click as a save all. I want to check our server. Yeah, you can see server is now perfectly running. They have no error. Now go to our site, refresh it. Now go to that register. Yes, you can see it's now perfectly display our username, every field. Better I want to actually make the things as a paragraph, then it will be better. So I think you already know about it. So in our register here, so that is our two of this form table. So now I want to define as paragraph, and also it should be visible as underscore paragraph. Okay, then it will be as a one line. Now click as a save all. So I just simply save all, and now go here, refresh it. Yeah, you can see that is actually the username, the email field, and the password field. And also I define another one as a Facebook ID and the profile picture. Okay friend, I hope now it should be very much clear to you. So everything is now perfectly getting on particular that area. So that is the things I have defined, right? So if you go to our form, so into the form area, you can see I have defined two of these. That is actually one of the username field, email field, and the password field. That is I have defined that class name as a user form, and also I have created another class as a user info form. And into the user info form area, I defined that model name, that is our user info model. Here I defined two of this field. One is the Facebook ID and the profile picture. And after that, I defined two of these in our view area. So into the view area, I have defined one of the function as a register. And into the register area, you can see I load our one form. That means that is our user form. And also I load our another form as a user info form. Then I just pass all the data with this dictionary, and then I pass our user form data, and also I pass our user info form data in our register page with this context. So into the register HTML, I simply print it. So you can see I just simply printed our one form, and there is actually our another form. So now two of these is now perfectly visible with all that our field, right? And also it's organized by our class. Like here, if you go our form, and with the form here, you can say I define that username, the email, and the password. So for the reasons here is showing, first of all, that is our username field and the email field and then the password field. So if you want to make the things, first of all, username and the password, then you can also change it. Like I just copy it here, I name it as a password, and then our third position I define as email. Now click as a save all, and now refresh it. Now you can see now it's first of all showing as a username and the password. So here you can put your username, here you can put your password. But for the password, you see it's now showing as a plain text. So here for the password, we have to also define as a hidden. That means the password type. So if you want to add that password type, I think you already know about it. So you have to define some of the attribute for this one. That means the widget attribute. With this widget attribute, we can do it. So I show you. If you want to change it, you have to go to your form area. So that is our user form, right? So in particular that positions I have to define as I take one of the variable as a password. Okay, I just define the password, and then with the forms, so into the forms I have defined the type as it will be as a character type. Okay, character field type, and with the character field type I define as widgets. So widgets, our forms. So I just simply define the forms, and also they have the another type as a password import. So I just simply define as a password import. Okay, password input. So that is also one of the type. So here I have to defining it. So I just simply define that things with this widget and the form and the password input. Now click as a save all. Check this out. Everything is running well. Maybe, yeah, everything is running well. Refresh it. So now it's not showing the plain text here. That is actually our password type. Perfect. And also you can see that is actually very close with our menu. So here I want to add some of the style. That means the bootstrap padding. I want to add it, then it will be better. So that is in our base HTML. Into the base HTML, that is our container. Here I want to define all this style, and I just simply define as a padding top, and I just simply define padding top as a 20 pixel. Then it should be better. Now I just click on the save all, and now go here and refresh it. Yeah, you can see it's now perfect. So that is our home. And now if you want to register your account, now if we click as a register, our register page will be loaded. So friend, here I am not focusing to design this part, because we will do that things in our project, but right now I want to actually share all that main thing, that means the main core things. So for the reasons here, I am not using some of the CSS or the JSS for the better look. So now it's okay with me. So they have all that our field. So in our next video, I want to create one of the register option. Like here, if you put your username, password, email address, and the Facebook ID, the profile picture, and after that click as a register, it should be registered all the data, and it should be registered that data in our this area. Okay. So how can do that work? In our next video, I will show you that things with a live example. So thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.